Hello and welcome back to my channel. We are at the start of 2026. I hope everyone had a great Christmas if you celebrate, or good holidays and a good new year. I thought I'd start with a book review of The Earl and the Pharaoh by the Countess of Carnarvon. If you've seen my previous video, you know I've been reading this book. I thought I'd start with a review and also then look to the next two books that I'm going to be reading, and obviously we'll do a review. But we'll start with this book here. If I sound a bit hesitant at times, it's because I have made some notes and I thought I wanted to make some notes so that I wouldn't lose track of what my thoughts are on the book. So The Earl and the Pharaoh by the Countess of Carnarvon. As I've previously said, this is about the Earl of Carnarvon, the fifth Earl of Carnarvon, who, along with Howard Carter, well, he funded Howard Carter, they found the tomb of Tutankhamun, which is probably one of the most important, most well-known archaeological historical discoveries of, certainly of the 20th century, and I think it's still, overall, one of the most important, one of the most intact tombs. The artefacts, I mean, everybody probably knows the famous gold mask, and know that to be a Tutankhamun, even if you're not interested in ancient Egypt or Egyptology or any kind of history. It's a well-known, recognised image. So the Countess of Carnarvon, the current Countess of Carnarvon, married to the current Earl of Carnarvon. I think he is the 8th Earl of Carnarvon at the current time. She is an author, as well as being very much involved with Highclere Castle, the family home, which they still live in. You can visit, and has been probably best known for being the location of Downton Abbey, the TV show, which I know a lot of people will recognise it from that. And as you can see, it's on the cover of the book here. So overall, what did I think? I know a little bit about the history of the discovery of Tutankhamun. So I knew a tiny bit about the Earl and what happened at the time that he and Howard Carter found the tomb. But beyond that, I didn't really know a great deal. Overall, I thought the book was very good and very interesting. And I think it appeals to people, certainly appeals to people if you're interested in ancient Egypt and Egyptology, particularly around Tutankhamun and that period in ancient Egypt. I think if you're just interested in the social history of the time, because it does talk about that. It doesn't just talk about his life, but it also talks about other people that were close to him, family and friends, and about the social history of the time as well. Although it isn't necessarily about the social history of the early 20th century. I think if you're interested in Downton and Highclere, you may well find some interest in the book. I think if you're interested in history, just history, you will get something from the book as well. It's quite a well-paced book. The chapters are relatively short, not too long, and they move at a fairly good pace through the Earl's life from a very young child all the way through his life. It obviously focuses on Tutankhamun and Howard Carter and the tomb, but it also looks in quite a bit of detail about other aspects of his life. For example, his marriage and his other interests. He was very much interested in horse racing and breeding racehorses, as well as cars. And obviously at the time, in the 1920s, this was obviously the start, and earlier, but the start of, I suppose, cars becoming the norm, people wanting to race cars, being interested in the development of cars, motor vehicles. So it also, I think there's a little bit of motor vehicle history there as well, which some people may find interesting, but that was obviously another big passion of the Earls. But obviously the main focus is on the discovery of Tutankhamun, but obviously the build up through a history of his life. And he had quite a colourful life, I think it's fair to say, quite an adventurous, eventful life. Certainly lived life to the full. And it's very interesting, I think, as I say, even if you just wanted to know a bit more about the social history of the time, clearly he is from, if you like to refer to class, a class of people at the time that were, you know, if you were very wealthy, as he and his family were, and a lot of the people he surrounded himself with, you could have a fantastic life doing all sorts of amazing things. and that is still the same today. But as it is still the same today, if you don't have a lot of money, then life is tough and life is very hard, and it can be very difficult at times to live. So it's quite, as with it is now, there's quite a lot of extremes as well, I feel, in his life. He also had a few health issues, which are also talked about, which contributed to the reasons why he wanted to spend so much time in Egypt and that part of the world, because it was felt that was better for his health at the time. So overall, I would recommend it. I would recommend it for the reasons I've already said. If you know social history, a bit more history of Highclere, particularly, yes, if you're interested in Tutankhamun and Egyptology and ancient Egypt, definitely. I think it would appeal to many different people. As I said, it's been well researched, well written, fairly well, it moves along at a decent pace, so you don't get bored, you don't feel like you're getting stuck, you don't feel like you want to just stop and not read any further. So overall, definitely 5 stars. If we're doing it out of stars, say 5 stars, I'd definitely give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it. As you can see, it's quite a reasonably thick book. It has got some photos in 2 sections in it. These are all black and white photos at various points from, there's the Earl himself there, of the Earl and his family and his life. These are obviously what the Countess of Carnarvon has got within the family home within Highclere. I no doubt they probably got lots of different photos and documents, and obviously it's very clear that she has done her research in that respect. So yes, I would recommend it. This is the hardback copy. I bought this when I visited Highclere. It has actually been, and I'll show you, it was a copy that had been signed by the Countess of Carnarvon on sale in their shop, in their sort of souvenir gift shop, whatever you want to call it. The recommended price is £20. As you see, that is Amazon and all good bookshops. I think you can still find it. New, you can probably certainly find it second hand. I don't know if there's a paperback copy of the book or not. You'd have to do some researching on that. I'm only aware of it in hardback form. I don't think it's come out in paperback. So yes, thoroughly interesting, well-paced, well-researched read for the history and for his life. A very interesting person. So I would, yes, recommend this. So that's the book review on that one. Moving on, I wanted to talk about 2 books that I will be starting. 2 quite different books. I'm saying 2 books because one of them is really quite a very slim volume and shouldn't take too long to read. And this is this book here. Lady of the White, the life of Isabella de Fortibus, and she was, as it says here, the 13th century ruler of the Isle of Wight, by Joanna Jones. As you can see, it's a very slim volume. This book I picked up when we went in 2025 on holiday to the Isle of Wight. We really love it on the Isle of Wight, and we've been a number of times on holiday. And we went to Carisbrooke Castle. It's the island's, I believe, only castle, I think. Well, it's owned by the National Trust now, I think. We've been before, but anyway, it was originally the home of Isabella de Fortibus. As I say, she was in the 13th century. So there is a part within the Castle Museum about her, probably at the time, 13th century. I can imagine she was quite a powerful woman to be the ruler of the island. So this has been written about her life. It caught my eye, and I thought it's not necessarily something I would normally read, but I am very much interested in history. I am also interested in medieval history and also women of that period as well. So we have this book. It's 100 and, as you can say, 115. There's some references at the back here. I'm just seeing how many pages there are. 116, obviously not all of them. It's got some illustrations in it, as you can see. And it's about her life, her history, and what was going on at the time. So I think it'll be really interesting about her, but also about the history of the time, what it was like on the island. As I say, it didn't cost me a great deal. I think I paid £10 for this. It's published, as you can see. Keeble and Watterson, Isle of Wight 2023. It just caught my eye. I thought it would be for £10. I didn't think that was too bad. It's a slim read. It shouldn't take me too long. And as I say, I'm interested in medieval history. I'm interested in women in medieval history. And I do also really love the Isle of Wight. As I say, we've been many times. We love going for a holiday. And this will obviously touch on some of the real ancient history of the island. So that is one of my reads. I can't see this taking me very long to get through, to be perfectly honest with you. As you can see, there's another image there. The font's not too small, quite clearly set out. I think there's a few it's just marked out in a few different chapters. So that's one of my books that I'm going to be reading next. The other book that I'm going to start, which will probably take me a little bit longer, is the Agatha Christie novel, Evil Under the Sun. This is a book that I got for my birthday in September last year. I did ask for several books and this was one of them. I've seen the movie that was made in the 1970s with Peter Ustinov as Poirot. I've also seen the TV adaptation that we have in the UK with David Suchet playing Poirot. I think there's been a couple of other iterations of this, maybe called different names, but they're the two ones I've seen from the TV show. So I'm aware of the story, but obviously with TV and film adaptations, the story can vary and change. So I thought I'd have this one. The cover, as you can see, is delightful. This is a hardback book, but how fantastic is that cover? Really gorgeous. This is published by HarperCollins, and I don't know if the camera will pick that up. That's $14.99. So there's the cover. And then this is the front page with the birds, like seagulls. And then I'll just show you, this is the kind of the font size, if people can see. So a bit chunkier than the other book. There is a total of 274 pages for the story. And then it also starts, as a book, I don't think books do this now. They used to give you a taster of the next book that the author was going to be publishing and bringing out. Usually often gave you part of the first chapter or the first chapter. So 274 pages. So this will be also my next book that I'm starting. This will take a little bit longer. I don't always get, I don't necessarily read every day. Sometimes it's only at the weekend. Sometimes it's only a couple of evenings in the week. So reading books does take me a bit of time. I'm not necessarily a slow reader as such. It's more about having the time to read. So this will be a little while. The other book, I think this one here, I should be able to get through a little bit quicker. So these are my next two books that I shall be reading going forward through the month of January. And then we shall move forward with more, because I have other books still that I haven't read that I want to get through. So I hope people have found that interesting about the Earl and the Pharaoh book, that the review was helpful, and to see a little bit of where my interests lie in terms of reading material and sort of other interests. Agatha Christie is probably my favourite author. I really would like to start building up a library of her works slowly. Books nowadays, to me, are not cheap, so Christmas presents, birthday presents, and saving up for them, and when you've got a bit of spare cash, and also looking secondhand for them, you can find good quality books secondhand. Again, I don't know if this would be available in paperback. This was a gift for me. I didn't necessarily ask for a hardback version, but I think this is certainly, you know, it affords a little bit more protection. It didn't have a slip cover. It just came like this with the image already on the actual hardback cover. So that's my plans going forward for the books. I hope people found that interesting. Moving forward with the channel, I would like to bring a lot more videos for the year of 2026. Not just book reviews. I want to expand what I will be doing and expand some of the subject matters of the videos that I will be making to cover other interests, or to expand further on the interests that I've expressed here in terms of maybe Agatha Christie, Egyptology and ancient Egypt, history. So that's my plan. I am going to be working out some details of some forthcoming videos. So please stay with me. Please like, subscribe and share. And hopefully you'll look forward to the next book review. Until then, thank you for watching and enjoy your reading.